My father-in-law installed cameras in our bedroom to make sure his son was happy. I packed my bags and left. I'm still processing everything that's happened, and I need to share this because I'm at my breaking point. My husband, James, and I have been married for a year. We were living with his father, Richard, while saving up for a place of our own. Richard offered us the chance to stay with him to save money, and despite some reservations, we agreed. Get from the start, but James convinced me that everything would be fine. Right from the beginning, I felt like I didn't have any personal space. Richard would walk into our room without knocking, and sometimes even walk in on me changing. When I mentioned how uncomfortable it made me, James brushed it off and said, "That's just how he is." Richard made weird comments about marriage, like how women today don't know how to take care of their husbands, and that a strong marriage needed consistency. But it didn't stop there. Richard laid down some house rules that felt more like control: no locked doors, knowing where I was at all times, dinner at 6 p.m., no exceptions. If I didn't follow the rules, Richard would guilt trip me. James was dismissive about it, he'd say. But the longer this went on, the more suffocated I felt. And then came the night I found the cameras. First update, I came home early from work one day, and Richard were out, so I had the house to myself. I went to our bedroom to change and noticed a small blinking red light on the smoke detector. At first, I tried to dismiss it, but something felt off. I climbed on a chair and unscrewed the cover, and there it was, a camera. I nearly dropped it. My hands were shaking as I searched the room and found 2 more cameras, one behind the TV and another inside the bathroom vent. I didn't need any more confirmation. Richard had been watching us. I couldn't believe it. When James and Richard came home, I was waiting for them in the kitchen with the cameras in hand. I slammed one down onto the table. "What the hell is this, Richard?" He barely even looked at it before smiling and saying, "I just need to make sure my son is happy." My stomach turned. "What did you say?" I could barely form the words. Richard shrugged like it was no big deal, and then I turned to James, expecting him to be just as horrified. But when I asked if he knew, he just shrugged and said, "It's his house." He said if it makes him comfortable. Mind was spinning. I felt like I was suffocating. I didn't even cry, I just nodded and started packing. Thank you all for your support. I'm seeing a lot of people asking why I didn't confront James more aggressively in the moment. Honestly, I was in complete shock. I couldn't even think straight. I knew then that I was done. Second update, tonight, I packed everything I owned. I didn't just pack clothes, I took everything. My electronics, my personal items, everything that was mine. I called my best friend and told her I needed a place to stay. The next morning, James and Richard woke up to an empty house. James immediately started calling me, and his first few messages were angry. "Where the hell are you? Why did you leave?" Then the guilt tripping began. "You're overreacting. It wasn't a big deal. We could have talked about this." I didn't respond. Richard called too, but I didn't pick up. That's when James realized that I had taken our saving deposit, was in an account only I had access to. The messages started flooding in. "Where's the money? You can't just take everything." I knew the next step was to go to the police. I had everything: cameras, the footage, and the receipts. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Edit, some of you are asking about the finance. Yes, the money was all in my name, I made sure. I didn't trust James with that kind of access after everything I'd seen with his dad. If you want to make sure something like this doesn't happen, keep control of your finances, no matter how much you trust your partner. Third update. The police took my evidence seriously, and soon Detective Harper was involved. They raided Richard's house, and he was arrested for illegal surveillance and invasion of privacy. But James didn't panic. Instead, he sued me, accusing me of stealing from him and claiming that I was emotionally unstable. I had expected Richard to fight back, but James, I thought he would be horrified, stand by my side. But no, along with everything Richard said, and he kept trying to manipulate the situation. It wasn't over yet, though. The police recovered most of the footage, but something was off. They discovered that the footage from the bedroom had been deleted. My heart sank. The timestamp showed that the files were erased at 4:12 a.m. the night before I left. Richard was asleep. James wasn't. Edit. I've seen some of you suggest that I should have confronted James harder about the cameras. Trust me, I wish I had. But in the moment, I couldn't even comprehend that James could be involved. The whole situation was just too much. Final update. After a lot of digging, the police recovered one last clip from the deleted footage. It was from our bedroom, and it was James standing over me while I slept. He didn't touch me, didn't speak, just stared at me for minutes before stepping out of the frame. That was the last file before everything got wiped. I found her, and that's when James started showing up at my friend's house and work. He was stalking me, and that's when I realized how much deeper this went. It wasn't just control. It was about manipulation, gaslighting, and keeping me trapped. But James made one final mistake. He checked into a hotel downtown, and the police tracked him there. They arrested him, and as they dragged him away, he looked straight at me and said, "You think you won? Never be free of me." But I was done. I just wanted to update everyone. James is behind bars, Richard is taking a plea deal, and I'm free. Thank you so much to everyone who supported me through this. It was a terrifying experience, but I'm proud of how I handled it. I'm rebuilding my life, and I won't let anyone take my power again.